everyone, thank you very much for joining me today. Today's reading is going to be Make Your Nirvana Your Reality. And I went for a run today and I was thinking as I was running very strange thoughts that if Saturn represents the world that we're in now, and Saturn is lessons and materialism and time, then surely when we die there will be no time, and whatever we think, whoever we are, will be immediate, and that's what will make our own heaven and hell. So I'm going to go through this reading to try and find out, because bits of it you'll be able to identify probably with, which bits make you feel like a better person, and so that when we kick the bucket we're a little bit happier and we're going to struggle next with the next life. Maybe, I don't know how it works, but that was my thought. Right, you've got 3 piles, pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, so if you want to take your choice, and then we'll get going. Right then, pile number 1, you've got Pluto, you've got Psyche, you've got the 12th house and the 2 of Swords. This has got something to do with inner sight or inner knowing, inner understanding, depth of understanding, and patterns and connections and secrets. So to me, this feels like somebody who's very intuitive, very probably psychic, with Psyche here and the 12th house and Pluto, a real depth of understanding and a real intensity with probably how you live life. It makes me think of somebody in a positive sense who understands people and knows how to bring the best out of people and is not scared of hard situations. In a negative sense, somebody who could be, what's the word when you're like overprotective of yourself and it hasn't happened yet? What's the word? I can't think. I'm thinking my mother here. Somebody who imagines the worst before it's happened, because you're so good at reading below the surface, you're so good at understanding people's motives that sometimes you may misread them because you pick up things which other people aren't necessarily giving out. This makes me think of my mother. My mum's quite Pluto. She has got Neptune on her MC. She's a type of woman who knows what you've been up to before you've done it. How did you know that? This makes me think of you, somebody who's very sensitive, very aware, which is amazingly fantastic for understanding. But sometimes when you have those bad days, you can possibly take the wrong end of the stick. So there's negative and positive there, as with all of us, which I'm looking for on purpose. So your best points are probably, as far as I know here from this, is your ability to be harsh on when life deals you tough cards, and to do it with some sort of sensitivity, and that probably spreads further afield to the people that you come into contact with. So you're a real sort of, I'm not going to say joy in people's life, but you're somebody that people gravitate towards in times of trouble, and you deal with them with sensitivity. But with regards to yourself, it's a very good quality to have, because there's still that hardness. Life's tough, but you still have that softness inside you. Pluto's a weird one because it's watery, but also very tough. And the only negative I can see so far is a possibility, because I'm thinking my mother in this, because I can see her qualities here. Very sensitive, but can be, I don't want to know what that word is. I can't think of it. I might think by the end. She sometimes, I'm not going to say she, because I'm not talking about my mum, the possibility of putting words into people's thoughts, if you know what I mean, before they actually thunk them. That type of feeling. Right, let's go with these ones to begin with. I think your best qualities are your stability, and well, I've just said this actually. You've got your stability, you've got your Prince of Pentacles here, who's very thorough, very much takes things in small steps. So I think this understanding, this awareness that you have in everyday life, you're very good at putting it into practical use. You're not somebody who sits at home and philosophizes. Is that a word? Yeah. You actually go out and use that. You use your understanding, you use your knowledge, and you help people. I like it's quite nice to have this feeling grounded, because the 12th house and Pluto could be almost a little bit overpowering for you unless you get out and work with it, which is not so easy at the moment. The High Priestess almost adds to this feeling of the 12th house and the Pluto, of somebody who understands what is going on behind the scenes. You're probably very much interested in psychology, the occult, that type of understanding. The 12th house, prisons. 12th house makes me think of people who, and the Pluto makes me think of, my sister went on, not the sister in whose house I basically trawl into every day, went to a court hearing, is that the correct word, which, you know, you're called up and you have no choice and you have to go, and there was this man on trial, and she said that she's very Pluto, my other sister, and she was watching the guards, and as they gave evidence or whatever they were doing, he hung himself, she said that the man who was giving evidence was a prison officer, and I'm thinking 12th house and Pluto, she said he was so attractive. There was just something in the way that he spoke and his strength and his understanding, and this is what I'm getting from you. But I think there's been a lot of work gone on. Where does this go? A lot of work gone on behind the scenes with you, the High Priestess. There's a lot of research and knowledge, and it's crisscrossed with a inner understanding that you were born with, that type of thing. So it's you working on it, and then actually throughout your life just getting hold of more information, it all beginning to make sense. And then with this Prince of Pentacles, you actually go into the outside world and ground these things and help others. The King here makes me think that you have some authority over yourself, which is a strange thing to say. Authority over yourself, I almost mean as if you have the confidence to be able to do these things that we've just talked about and do it with ease and an understanding. Right, let's keep going. That's what I've got so far. Really strong pile. Let's go to different cards. Let's go with these. I don't normally use these cards in the middle because to me they give a lot of detail, so I only need a few of them. Now you actually find me not be able to say a thing. Right, what you should be doing in this life, I think, could have something to do with, especially with your High Priestess here and learning, and your Pluto there, of depth and lack of fear and a real quiet bullshit attitude. The Queen of Swords is somebody who has an understanding and a knowledge, and look at that, very focused in what they want to do and who they want to be. The Ten of Cups, the two heart cards on either side here, make me think that everything that you've learned and all the power that you have basically probably through lifetimes accumulated, and this understanding, this intuitiveness, I can never say that word, has to be delivered with a real heart, a real emotional and soft strength. Queen of Swords, the heart, the sacred heart, the Ten of Cups. It makes me feel of somebody who, I'm going to talk about lifetimes here, because there's got to be something in lifetimes. There has to be something, and I don't actually think that they are in order. I think they all happen at once, and you just know this is the inner knowing that you call into certain lifetimes. I don't know, that we all have, and it feels right. It's very much South Node, and this is more me thinking of your North Node. So the way that you must move forward is to use your understanding, use your depth of knowledge, and use it with a real heartfelt attitude. The Ten of Cups, the Sacred Heart, is putting your emotions and your softness into life in a very practical way where others may fear to tread. And with the 12th house here, it's almost as if you can clip into what people are feeling before they even know themselves in some way. It's toughness and it's sweetness together. What I was about to say, what you need to leave behind here. You've got the Temperance card here, which I wonder, say if this is like a South Node thing or this is like a past life thing, and you've got Temperance, and yes, the Temperance is a card of ease. It's a card of where the things flow quite easily from one place to the other, and this is sort of shown with these fish here going in, and it's exchange. And you've got the Yes card here. Makes me wonder whether you have this softness that inside you that you need to give in this life, but I wonder whether it's overwhelmed you in past lives in some way, because this bear here is sort of coming out of the water, the Judgment card, and is screaming. So I'm wondering whether bears scream. No, they don't scream. I would say with your 12th house is very good at sucking feelings out of people. You're almost like some sort of sponge without water in it yet, and when you're next to people you almost breathe the same air as them and become them, the 12th house here. And I wonder whether in your past life it's overwhelmed you a little bit, and the Judgment card here has a real feeling of, especially between, to me this is North Node, this is South Node, so to me it's actually coming out of the cold water and seeing the light. So you know that you may have given a lot to other people in past lives. This life you've still got that understanding of how to give with your heart, but now you do it with clarity with the Queen of Swords here. And these cards here make me think of strength and depth, and again understanding and a real ability to know. And actually the 12th house in Psyche here is not a real ability to know. That's not so Aquarius. It's the real ability to feel and to deliver what you need to deliver in this life with some strength. Right, okay, let me choose these ones next. Right, for you to be able to deliver the qualities that you have inside you here, this would say to me that regardless of what crap life throws at you, the 10 of Wands is hardships, the 10 of Wands is 36, the 36 is 360, is a complete circle. So it's as if you have been through many lifetimes doing this, and this is the one where you need to nail it, where you know that life, it's the woman or the man with all the rods on their back, and it's almost as if all the lessons, this 36 is, I find this card fantastic because it's the feeling weighed down by the lessons that you have done in your past life, because it's the 360 and it's the weight. So all these lessons that you've learned, I wonder at times in your life where you feel like, you know, crikey, it'd be nice just to have a rest, wouldn't it? That type of feeling. You've given, and I think in past lives you may have given too much and been a little bit too nurturing to others, not yourself. And this lifetime is your chance to still give with all the lessons that you've learned, with the heart and with the feelings and with the emotions and with the depth that you have and the qualities that you have. But this time you're doing it, the real insight into who you are and where you want to be, rather than just giving. I remember years ago reading something about, I don't want to go too much into it because it makes me sound like a complete arse. But there was it was something to do with different densities, and it was to do with like the 4th density and the 5th. Yeah, no, I'll tell you. Okay, it's to do with the 4th density, which had something to do with the vibrations of the Pleiades, and the 5th density. I don't know if there's any truth in this, but I basically suck anything up and then use what I can out of it. And the 5th density was to do with Arcturus, and the 4th density was people who give and almost don't know when to stop giving. They basically learn their lessons through love. And then at the Arcturus, the fifth density energy, was basically people who know and only give to people who deserve to be, deserve's the wrong word, who are in need, but you'd never give more than that leaves you empty. So it's like a self-awareness, but still being of service to others. So this makes me think of this pile. I mean, that 10 of Wands at the end for your road to how to basically make the best of yourself, to me, is fascinating. Probably only to me it's fascinating, because it is the circle and the heaviness, and you've completed your rounds, and this is the lifetime where you actually need to rest and know that you have it inside you already. Nobody can take away your lessons from you, and you can give, and you can give without thought of people taking too much, because it's almost that aware that it has that, I don't know, Arcturus, what I'm talking about, that feel of understanding, of just giving to people how much they need and nothing else. Not if it's pulling on you too much. The Queen of Wands makes me think that you can do that with style. So the Queen of Wands is a feisty lady or a feisty man who does things with style, and it only gives enough. That's a really nice card to have with that one. So there's lessons. And then the Queen of Wands is how you deliver it. So you deliver your lessons with a bit of panache. There's a real sense of feisty fun and joking around with life and everything being an adventure. It's almost like a board game that you now know who you are, or if you don't, this is what you need to know. And the Three of Cups makes me think that it's now time to, excuse me, to deliver yourself to groups. Right, let me just sum this up for you. Sorry if it's a bit stilted, it's because I have to basically suck my way through the cards in some way. Okay. Right, you are somebody, I think, who is very intuitive, very much in touch with yourself and in touch with other people. You're very good at reading below the surface, and sometimes I wonder in the past it's been a little bit overwhelming, but now with these candles in your eye, it's almost something that you use to light your way to get what you want out of life. You've got a real ability not to run away from life's toughness here. I think there's an accumulation through lifetimes of gathering knowledge and feeding it together with your experience, and now you have the qualities to feel as if you're in charge of yourself and to put it into everyday action with the Prince of Pentacles here. There's a real ability now to do this in this lifetime with a sense of ease and a sense of giving emotionally without too much being taken away from you. The Queen of Wands is very focused and very clear who she is and where she wants to go. But you've got this clap between two very sort of giving emotional cards. And the fact that there's the Ten of Cups and the Sacred Heart makes me think that, or makes me wonder, whether the love that you have received in this lifetime, possibly, I don't know, past, has given you that comfort zone to deliver without feeling as if too much has been taken away. And as I said earlier, that Pluto quality can sometimes be a little bit, or it can be a little bit sort of, because they like depth and they like to understand and they're very intuitive, they can often see very sort of dramatic aspects in people, and then not really understanding that not everybody's as dramatic as Pluto. So you're pulling things, did they mean this, did they mean that, and actually probably didn't mean anything. It's that ability, that's a negative part of Pluto, I think, there. But I think here, with the love that you've had or received from other people in your life, and the understanding has given you that inner comfort of not having to use a negative quality of Pluto, of attacking before the event, which often with Pluto can happen. You read things into situations in a negative way, it's a negative bit of Pluto, before anybody's even thought of them, even your enemy. Do you know what I mean? That type of thing. And the way forward, no, sorry, this is your South Node, isn't it, of course? So in your past life, I wonder whether you've been a little bit too giving, and then this life is here to give you awareness of how far you've come, and then this is when you actually come out of the water and you see the sunshine. It is awareness. You've got sunshine here with the polar bear coming out. You have got up here for your personality traits in this life, the seal with the candles in the eye. So it's almost like swimming backwards and forwards, and then just knowing. Right, so your road in this life is to understand what you've been through. You are the full circle, and yes, it has been heavy going, as probably it is for everybody, but this is your, I would say, a time to do and to feel and to act with everybody else with a real sense of exuberance and a sense of passion for life. And the Three of Cups makes it feel very inclusive. I love that card at the end. Right, I don't know if that rings true for you in any way, but that is what I am seeing. Somebody who in this lifetime has been through a lot and learnt their lessons and now has the awareness and the understanding and to do it, even like the ability to know with this little pentacle card here, to know how to do everything in small steps. Because sometimes, if you've ever read your fixed star like chart, we used to read them and it used to make you think that you had to do something magnificent in this lifetime, and right now you think, oh my god, I can't do it. It was like then you go to Tesco's and come back and have your meal and like you've forgotten about it. It's that type of feeling. This is different. This is a ability to understand who you are at this very moment and then know how to progress slowly. That we are all magnificent in many ways, and then just to be yourself, to hone yourself down in this lifetime, the real understanding and a real inner love that you can give to other people with awareness of not too much being taken away from you. Past lives possibly have been a little bit too easy flowing and easy going in regards to your boundaries, I would say. But not now, not this lifetime. This one is, you are spot on. You've had your lessons, and then you're coming here and you're going to share it, and you're going to do it with a real sense of love, excitement and passion. Okay, right, pile number 1. I'm going to leave that there. I hope that makes sense to you in some way, or it feels right to you in some way. Nice pile, nice pile. I love this. This whole pile does make me think of somebody who's quite psychic. And a lot of the time, I wonder whether we don't know whether we are psychic, and you don't know whether you're unusual or everybody else is the same. But I do honestly think that people are becoming more aware of what I would say is a slippery world. When you actually dream of something before it's happened and you think, good God, if that is possible, to dream of something before it's happened, what does that actually mean in real terms? Nothing is, everything's happened already, or everything's happening simultaneously. And that's really big. That's a really big thing. I can't get my head around it. And I love thinking about things like this. But it makes me feel that you know this already. You get messages, you understand how things move, and I don't know. Interstellar. It makes me think of Interstellar. What's that man doing behind the bookcase? But nobody knows what he's doing behind the bookcase. But he's there and he can see and I always think of the hummingbird with the weavers, and they weave, and the weaving is an understanding of how the world is structured, I think, and that is, you understand the nest. You know how everything comes together, and you feel, even if you don't actually know, you feel it, and that is all we can probably hope for. Why we are here in this like sluggish density is a understanding of it as far as we can, if you know what I mean. I think just to question it is enough. Just to question what's going on. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I was going to tell you a really, really long story about psychics then, but I'm not, because it might bore you. I'm going to leave you there, pile number 1. I hope that makes sense. And that's it. I have nothing more to say on that one. Thank you for joining me. See you again. Bye. Hi there, pile number 2. Let's get going with yours then. Okay, very similar feel to pile 1, but this is very similar feel to pile 1, but this has a stronger feeling of being able to, it's a bit more of a flashy pile. It's an ability to use your gifts in some way that's a bit more, oh my God, what did you just do? How did you know that type of thing? So, nice. Neptune here makes me think that you are very intuitive, you're very probably creative, you have a creative way, the way that you look at life and the way that you get your knowledge. It's somebody who can read, who feels vibrations, things that are coming in and understands without having to say anything. It's somebody who picks up people's feelings and thoughts before they say anything. Not often with Neptune, it's that awareness of other people that can be quite painful. And you often find people with Pisces in them on Neptune are very good at mimicking other people and putting voices on and basically impersonations, because they are very good at osmosis. They just suck in people's energies. You put somebody with Pisces together with somebody with a strong accent, and by the time they come out an hour later, they have that accent. And which is quite dangerous and hard for Pisces, I think, because you never actually wonder, you're always wondering, somebody with strong Neptune, who you are and where you stand. So if this is you, you may like this card. The 9 of Wands makes me think the darkness before the dawn, that you have developed boundaries, but so this to me makes it feel positive, because the sun is coming up and this is defensiveness, and Neptune tells me, or makes me think of somebody who doesn't have any defenses. So you almost have a membrane around you now. In this lifetime, there's a membrane around you now, but it's still nice to have that Neptune backdrop, because Neptune to me is one of those larger planets that gives you insight into other worlds. Yeah, other worlds. Yeah, the world. Okay, 9th house again gives me that feeling of using your knowledge and information to gather even more knowledge and information. Somebody who likes to travel, somebody who just likes reading, somebody who's interested in politics, who's interested in the world in a bigger sense. They're not just interested in themselves and what their children do or what their auntie does. It's somebody who likes to see the movement of the world in a bigger sense, what parts we all play, where society's going, where we've come from, and where they think we're going next. And it's almost like a hungry feeling in the 9th house of not being able to get enough knowledge. It's fascinating. Often planets in the 9th house talk of our career, and you'd think it'd be the 10th, but often it's the 9th house. Juno here makes me wonder whether this membrane and this protectiveness and this understanding and this knowledge has come through relationships. So this could be part of your life now, or just something that you feel is very much part of you now rather than part of your life. Very similar to pile number 1. Protectiveness, knowledge, understanding, seeing the light, but having a real inner depth and a real ability to read situations that nobody can even get an inkling of. Juno there makes me think that you may have learnt your lessons or come to be who you are now through one-to-one sort of one-to-one contact with others. The 9th house is you're probably still hungry to learn more in this life, is what I'm thinking. Now, it gets even better. This Wheel of Fortune here very much goes with your 9th house, with that Jupiter feeling of understanding karma, understanding your place in the world, and when things are shite, then you know that some way along the line, which is not a line because it's a circle, you're going to go back up again. It's as if you can feel the pattern in things. And I always wonder whether that's where astrology happens, because even when you're hit by the hardest aspects, they only last a certain amount of time. And then when you're actually on the up, make the most of it. You know, make the most of it, because life is all ups and downs, and it's fun, and it's, you know, it's exciting, but you also have to get through the Saturn bits and the hard times. The Magician here makes me think that emotions, okay, this makes me think with your Neptune here and your Jupiter field here that you are very good at, you're very positive, you're emotionally positive. Oh yeah, I like this. And your Neptune here makes me think of emotional qualities and understanding and insight and sensitivity. Your 9th house here makes me think that you understand how to use that in the wider sense with the outside world. And the Magician card here makes me think, this is the flashy bit, that you have all these tricks up your sleeve to do this now. I love this. The Magician. It's such a good card to have with these, because you've got the Neptune, you've got the boundaries, you've got the understanding as you possibly have learned from one-to-one relationships, and then you've got this pushing out sense. It's inward, it's wrapped up, and it's inside you. And then this 9th house makes me feel that you're always pushing out, and then you have the emotional maturity, the understanding of karma, and the ability to make it work in this lifetime. Ooh, I like that. Let me see which card's next. Choose this one. Yeah. Okay, Queen of Wands, very similar to the first pile, is somebody feisty, somewhat forward moving, forward thinking, very sexy, very charismatic, very magnetic. And with the Two of Cups here, and we talked about emotions up here, is somebody who relates, especially with Juno here, relates very well one-to-one, in one-to-one situations. The Three of Cups here, it makes me think of connections again. You connect really well with people, and you have this understanding inside you that people almost feel safe with you, or they feel that you know more than they know. The Queen of Wands makes me think that you do it with a sense of fun. And the Magician here, to me, these two cards, the Magician and the Queen of Wands, is somebody who plays with life and makes it, did I say this in pile number 1? Makes it a game. But this is like a stronger feeling even than pile number 1. Makes it a game. It's somebody who's really charismatic. Understanding, insight, sweetness, having your own boundaries, and then in this lifetime doing it with a sense of charisma that is quite awe-inspiring in some ways. And then you can connect really well in groups and personally in like 2-to-2, 1-to-1 situations. The Two of Cups and the Juno here, I wonder whether you are still learning in this life and actually teaching in this life as well, because this is quite a strong pile through relationships, through personal relationships. I'm not saying it's just that, because this Three of Cups makes me think of a work situation where people are going out after work and having fun. So I don't know whether you have an effect on the people that you work with, because the Queen of Wands made me think of somebody who is moving outwards. And the 9th house, moving outwards, that very Sagittarius feel of being hungry for life and almost being half horsey and tumbling, and you're like a hungry hippo. You're like pulling life towards you, and there's that, which is a real quality, a fantastic quality, have that hunger and that excitement. And they always say your desires bring you back again, but you've still got to live your life with desire, not actually need it, but still there's that. I remember being abroad once, and I was talking to somebody, he was an Italian man, and he said something about, and he meant to say, do you want to do that? And he means, do you desire that? And I said, that's a bit strong. But I do think that's what I mean. You know, what you want, what do you desire? And you seem to know what you desire, and there's still that passion inside you and that fire inside you that is very attractive. Okay, let's go. just really funny. What you need to leave behind. To me, when I was dealing these cards, I was thinking South Node. What you need to leave behind, that fire that we're just talking about is your need to win. I wonder whether you are quite fiery. It's your need to win and realise that it's a game and you're pulling people along with you. It makes me think of those Robert Monroe books where, I don't know if you've read those most fantastic books, where this guy, he's a radio broadcaster or something like that, and he's American, and he starts having out-of-body experiences, and he doesn't understand it, so he goes to a psychotherapist or psychologist, and he's trying to talk his way through it. So it's almost very pragmatic in the way, and you begin to almost identify with him. And then there was a case where he was going into this, ready for this, into this other world, and he met what he felt was like a huge ball of energy. You don't have to believe it, it's just interesting. And it said to him, where are the others? And you've come here, but you haven't brought the others. So it's almost a case of this very sort of Queen of Wands. And sometimes fire signs can be very, what's the word without trying to be insulting? Self-focused. They can be very self-focused. They're like, they can either be both, can't they? Very self-focused. One day, the next day, the most giving people out of all the different sort of signs that you get in astrology. So this is telling me in your past life, I wonder whether you've got the passion, you've got the drive, but it's this lifetime, North Node here is to move away from being self-focused, because that's where your defeat will come. 7 of Cups, 6 of Cups here. 6 of Cups. If this is your South Node, you've got the 6 of Cups. The South Node, of course, throws you back onto memories and past lives and people that you've connected with. So I wonder whether in this life you'll meet lots of people who actually understand you. You've got some karma with, especially with this Wheel of Fortune. We all do, I suppose, but it makes me wonder whether you actually learn your lessons. It's almost like a contract that you, like a soulmate type of feeling. I don't really know what soulmate actually means, because I think you have the men and women. It's like a contract before you come down, and they say, right, let's meet, let's get together, let's get over these bits, let's get over working on your own, working on your own. You've got the fire, you've got the desire, now let's just spread it a little bit further. The 5 of Swords here makes me think that in your past life, if you've put yourself first, you felt defeated. It's like with you, I wonder whether it's getting the balance right, because you have Neptune here. In your North Node, there's more heart. Oh, no. Yeah, in your South Node, so these are the lessons you've learned, there's heart. And I felt in your North Node as if you don't do it on your own. Use the people, and see they've got the 6 of Cups, 3 of Cups, 2 of Cups. Use the people who you connect with to learn your lessons and pull them along with you. So boundaries, being childlike, being spontaneous, still using your fire to move forward. And the Queen of Cups is nurturing the people that come along with you. Robert Monroe would be so proud. Your Neptune here makes me think of somebody who's very good at, by osmosis, pulling in people's thoughts, pulling in people's feelings, and having a real understanding. But also it can be a little bit too much at times. The 9 of Wands makes me think that you have your membrane around yourself, where you have your boundaries very much in place, and you know how far people can push you, and you don't actually suck in the negativity. So it's almost as if you have a ring fence around you of just letting the things in. It makes me think of a cell that lets in the minerals that's needed, and almost like doesn't let anything else in. And I wonder whether you've learnt your lessons through one-to-one contact, but you still have that. It makes me think of a very hungry approach to life, which has a bit of passion and has a bit of oomph about it. Somebody who wants to know, somebody who has a real I'm going to say quite an aggressive feeling of wanting to live life to the fullest. You also have the Wheel of Fortune here with the 9th house, which made me think, or made me feel, that you are somebody who has an understanding of when life is really crud, that you know that things are going to pick up again. It's something that gives you that exuberance and that, I'm going to say childlike quality, because I've seen your sun here at the bottom, with regards to basically taking life's tumbles with a pinch of salt. The Ten of Cups, and this weaves in all the way through, is a real emotional understanding of other people. And I wonder whether you've learnt that not just through more established or more personal relationships, but also in groups as well, which are more sort of transient in your life. And the Magician here is a beautiful card because it gives me that image that you are like a magician in the way that you interact with other people, because of this understanding your own boundaries and also the lessons you have learned with your contact with others, the emotionality that you put into your relationships. Now, this is where I got slightly mixed up. If you could have heard me swearing, that's where I've stopped it. So I'm going to go back over this to make it clear. Your North Node, and this is your South Node. So your North Node, and what you do really well in this lifetime, is Queen of Wands, 9th house, Wheel of Fortune. Your approach is passionate, and you have those tricks up your sleeve. Tricks up your sleeve to bring the best out of yourself and your life. I don't know what situation you're in at the moment. If things are hard, you're the type of person, I think, that gets up every day with a new approach or a new tactic or a new way to tackle something. But I do think as well, the North Node, that part of your way forward is to continue doing what this Juno here spoke to me about, is connecting with people, because I think that gives you an understanding of your place in the world. And the Three of Cups here as well doesn't really matter to me, because you've got 3 emotional cards. It doesn't really matter whether it's long-term personal relationships or just group situations that are, as I said, more transient. There's something to do with emotions and your North Node and your ability to see the bigger picture that's going to make you feel more fulfilled in this life. This is where I got mixed up. Your South Node shows to me a real feeling of, to me, it makes me think that you need to leave behind the ability to put yourself first. I'm being really rude here, I know, but it doesn't apply to everybody. But that's what I saw, defeat by putting yourself first and wanting to win, which I felt this, because it doesn't have to apply to you. So just take it and totally ignore if it sounds like a load of crud. But I got a feeling here, because you've got the Wands card here, and the 9th house here. And as I said, the ability to manipulate situations, to know where you stand and who you are, that you possibly have that hungry feeling and that desire that is fantastic, as long as you're not bothered about the end result. You're not bothered about winning. And that is the secret to it all, isn't it? It's to live your life with passion and meaning, but with no expectations. And I think that in relationships often as well. You know, when you fall for somebody, to still enjoy the relationship, regardless of how intense it is, without expectations, is just really something I think we all need to try. I'm going to try it one day. 6 of Cups here, once again, makes me think of emotions and connections. So I wonder whether you have learnt your lessons, and I'm thinking your lessons here, because it's you that's got this North Node, 2 of Cups, whether you've learnt your lessons through contact with people. These people come back into your life and very much show you what you're meant to be doing. This to me thinks of it's like a contract. You write when you're hovering around in the ether. You and some other partners, right? I will come back and I'll remind you where you're meant to be going. So I wonder, as I'm saying that, if you feel like, yeah, so and so made me think this and it made a real impact in my life, you're probably right. And your road to perdition, I don't know what perdition means. Perdu is lost? Perdu? I don't know then. I have no idea tell me what perdition means. Is to be your beautiful, fantastic, forthright, forceful, fantastic, magnificent self. Childlike, innocent, spontaneous, creative, open. Shoot your mouth off when you feel like it. Just your own horsey, fantastic self. The Queen of Swords here makes me think that this boundary card's here, that you know your boundaries now, and the Queen of Cups makes me think that you know how to pull emotions out of people and situations to get where you need to be. Right, okay, I'm going to finish there. I'm going to finish that and change my battery. Thank you ever so much, pile number 2. I'm sorry I got muddled in the middle. I don't even remember what I said, because it was when I pulled these to the side, I tried to make it clearer. So I hope that hasn't muddled you. But thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you can take something from that. Bye.
La música de Harry Fraud.
Right, pile number 3. I'm getting a strange feeling here because you've got Ceres, you've got the full moon, which are very emotional, very nurturing, very creative, very soft, very gentle, very, well, I'm going to say emotional again. And you've got the Lovers here, and then you've got the 10th house. So I'm thinking from the beginning that the Lovers card has got something to do with you being in relationships and being very understanding and very gentle and very aware, and that's how you've learnt your lessons. And the 10th house makes me feel that you have, or you do in some way, use those nurturing qualities to either earn your money, or it's just some way that you are known by the masses by being nurturing or emotional in some way. Let me keep going. Lessons, healing, feist. Right, okay. It makes me feel of somebody who has established who they are and what their life purpose may be, has got something to do with emotions and something that they have learnt through relationships. The alchemical heart is like changes that you have made within yourself with regards to emotional lessons. The Four of Swords, I can't speak today, excuse me. The Four of Swords makes me think that, I don't know if this is this lifetime or past lifetimes, where you have had to pull out of situations that have been very emotional to recover, and there's been like some sort of reflecting, and there's been some sort of understanding. What I'm trying to say is a lot of your lessons have been learnt by meeting yourself in past relationships, and I wonder whether this carries on to this lifetime, or whether you just use these qualities with a bit of pizzazz and a bit of oomph in and how you how you earn your money, or how you are seen. It makes me think of somebody who has an understanding of how people work, and you have learnt this through being very much engrossed in one-to-one relationships in past lives. There's a real nurturing, there's an understanding, there's the toing and froing of emotions and the change, reflection. Do you know what it makes me think of with this Eight of Swords here and all these emotions, and then it's obviously got something to do with relationships here in the Eight of Swords, is somebody who has learnt their lessons and overcome anxieties with regards to relationships, but it's taken a long time to get there. And with that depth of understanding is something that you have made an impression on a lot of people. The 10th house here, possibly through a career, but you do it with Knight of Wands sort of approach. So nobody sees your vulnerabilities, but you're very good at moving out into life and making life move for other people, but you do it with a sensitivity. Let me just keep going and see what else comes out here. I feel like I need different cards. I don't want those cards. Let me try these ones. Right, I think that there's something to do with what you're meant to be doing in this life has got something to do with lessons, to do with mirroring and anxiety and relationships. So I wonder whether relationships, but especially like love relationships, have a huge impact on you in this life. And I wonder if you need to speak your truth in some way with the Ace of Swords, or whether you do something to do with that relationship counselling, or whether you help people through relationships, or whether it's just you help the other person in more personal relationships here. Because you've got the resting here, the Four of Swords, which makes me think you've pulled back. This hasn't got to do with this lifetime so much. It could be to do with imprints from past lifetime. A feeling of pulling back and wanting to understand, and then there's almost like this judgment is it's like sleeping and then coming out with a new perspective. And then this card here with regards to the Knight of Wands, and as I said, it gives you that sort of, it gives me a feel that you are that type of person that is very upbeat, very somebody who attacks life. The Chariot card is pulling together, which is the Chariot card here, the Lovers card here. It's got something to do with emotions, nurturing and pulling things together, to do with relationships and lessons of the heart. Because the Chariot pulls to opposing forces and goes in one direction. You're gonna have to wait with me and just let me feel my way through this one, because it's going to be that way. I'm afraid I need to pull it all together, but I've got to basically just walk through it. You've got emotions pulling things together and understanding, anxieties, having to lie low. It makes me think almost of that Aquarius feel. Is it Maurice Fernandez, who refers to Aquarius as people that, an astrologer, who go into life, like to take a different tack of life. They don't like to be told what to do, and they don't like to fit in. So what they do is they go in and they almost give the opposite. They makes them feel better to not fit in and almost to be the opposite. And then what they do is they're very good, very perceptive. They move out of life and with an understanding of what's going on, and then they twist it. And it makes it seem quite eccentric or very different. And then they keep gathering knowledge, pulling out, and then they put it out in a different form that makes things change, makes things more forward looking, more forward moving, and makes it seem like it's something totally new that's come out. And it's an understanding of other people, and it's an ability to do it in a very different fashion, which is probably why Aquarius is like to be quite reserved and quite withdrawn from life, because they need to understand it in some way. And that's how things move forward, because then they have a different perspective on it. And I wonder where that's the Saturn comes from, because there's still that ability to be engrossed in life, but then pull out. So it's those Saturn and Aquarius, Saturn and Uranus both ruling the same sign. I don't know. I just thought of that bit at the end. So let me just think about you here. So you are there, pushing and pulling, understanding emotions, trying to be nurturing and having it's possibly nurtured back, and then you pull out of life, you try to understand anxieties, and then you push it back out into life in a very sort of exuberant, adventurous and feisty way. And that may be something to do with how you're it's making me think of somebody who could work with troubled children in some way, or somebody that tackles life with an understanding and a real grit, but still an emotional softness about you, because you understand other people's trials and tribulations that they have been through. North Node. I don't know whether you talk for a living, or whether you actually lecture, or whether you write things and people understand your understanding by the way that you communicate. But there's makes me think here, a real awakening that possibly could have happened in this lifetime already, for you to know who you are yourself. A real inner understanding with a Judgment card here. Somebody who pulls in and out of life. And that Aquarius and that Saturn feel about you. And that ability here to be with the feisty card under the 10th house and the Chariot card of being able to pull in your lessons and actually focus them in this life. I'll just keep going and see what else I get. Can you see these cards? Because the sun comes out, which is very strange at the moment. I can see it's shining through the window. in your past life, you were very Aquarius in some way, or very Virgo, or very reserved. I do get the feeling that it almost speaks of like an Aquarius South Node, or somebody who loved to understand things, liked to think, liked to know, but there's that sort of feeling of being alone, comfortably alone, playing with things, and the Hermit is just knowing. It's just knowing. I just get a feeling from this pile that you're somebody who used to be. This is like, let's talk about past lives here, not this life, because this to me makes me feel more your life now. It makes me think of somebody who used to have a real deep need to understand people's emotions, and a real deep need to understand where you fit in life, and as if you needed to take your lessons and twist them and then push them out into this life in a real magnetic and slightly forceful, but in the best way, with regards to how you function in life and how you earn your money. The 10th house makes me think of either lessons to do with parents, which can also come into it, but something to do with more outward, outreaching feeling of career. Right, okay. It makes me think that the road forward to you in this life, with this understanding of people's emotions and how people interact, and then actually having to pull out of life at certain periods to gain a deeper understanding of yourself, and then coming back into life and communicating and doing it in a way that you have that self-confidence and that inner knowledge and that inner understanding to do it, and almost stand on a stage, the 10th house, and do it. It's if that's up front in front of a lot of people, and the Knight of Wands is doing it with a real feisty, assertive style, because the Chariot here is pulling it all together and pushing it forward. It's quite forceful. It makes me think in this lifetime that you're quite upfront, but you've learnt to be upfront by understanding yourself, because you've actually retracted from life so many times to gain that understanding, and it's been quite hard. I mean, you've got the 5 of Wands here, which makes me think that it's been a struggle. I wonder whether you've struggled with people, but that's how you've got this depth of understanding in this life, and still able to do it with a sense of nurturing other people and being able to nurture yourself. There's not that boundary thing that I felt in Power 1 and 2. You don't have that boundary problem, but at the end, it does say that you can do this because you have that strength. You have an understanding, and then this 8 of Wands goes very much here with these cards. I thought your way forward in this life is to do it with passion, and to do it with zest, and to communicate with a sense of fun and excitement and understanding. I don't know what you do as a job, because this 10th house and these fiery cards make me think that the lessons you have learned uses your emotions, uses your insight, uses your depth of knowledge, and makes me feel as somebody who has had lifetimes meditating in a hole in a hedge. It makes me feel, and I know there's not going to be many, of an Aquarius South Node, and then a Leo North Node. And you might not have that, but that's what the feeling. The lessons come from understanding and knowledge and retracting from life. And in this lifetime, your way forward is to be childlike, make life fun, make life exciting, even be self-centered, but you've got to do it with the force, and you've got to do it with passion, because that's what actually makes other people be drawn towards you. That's not very good English. That makes other people gravitate towards you. I do think emotions have played a big impact in your life in the past, and I wonder whether that has got something to do, especially if you're very Aquarius, or I'm not saying you are Aquarius, but there's that feeling I'm getting here of a real understanding that whatever we do emotionally in any of our lifetimes brings us back time after time. And so you don't, if with this fire here, you don't hang on to emotions. You feel them, you act them out, but you don't hang on to them, because it's like that's emotional desires and those feelings that bring you back again and again and again. We always say this as if we don't want to come back, but I actually quite enjoy being here. But it's a real sort of feeling of you knowing what does bring you back and when to cut it off and say, well, actually, I don't want that emotion. So it's probably more choosy. You had the Hermit card there, so you're probably more able to choose which emotions fulfill you and when to cut off and think, actually, I have an understanding of what's going on there. I'm not going to play that game anymore, but I'm enjoying this one. It's almost a sense of like, did you have the sun? No, that's fine. That childlike understanding of wanting the spontaneity and wanting the fun, but there's no ties with it. It's an understanding, but without needing to be engrossed in it. And here is you functioning in what should be in this lifetime of play, fun, excitement, horseplay. Eight of Wands in the Chariot, horseplay. Horses everywhere. Yeah, horseplay. It's like more like a cow-y feeling of understanding your lessons and still having that ability to get up every day, regardless how wounded, and have fun with others. In the 10th house, you may do that as part of your career. You may actually do it so lots of people see it. It makes me think of somebody on stage, or makes me think of somebody in work giving, you've got lots of people watching you, but actually playing with life, and people are just drawn towards you because you're Sagittarius, playful, fun, giddy, kipper. So to me, that does honestly make me feel, I know it probably only clicks on with a few people, but of a Leo North Node and an Aries South Node there. It's just a feeling I get. It doesn't have to be that. Right, pile number 3, I'm going to finish there. I hope that helps in some way, even if you just take snippets of it. That is all I hope for, to be honest, because sometimes I think it's like overhearing a conversation and you just take the bits that apply and you use them to make yourself, to make life easier, make yourself function. I'm waiting for that one. Thank you very much. Bye.